Our GMC Sierra tweet of the night comes to our friend Chris Adamski over at the Trib. He says most recent time the Steelers lost at home to Cleveland was 20 years ago. Now we're talking a regular season. Of course, there was that playoff loss. The most recent time the Steelers lost a home Monday night game was 32 years ago. So it's been some time, and certainly there's a lot on the line in this game because you don't want to start 0-2. I have a tweet I want to get to you, Chris, before we get to the lines, and this is about what's going on in New York. Got a lot of these, actually. Happy Pappy 61 says, sink or swim with Zach Wilson. There are no other answers. There is no Big Ben. There is no Tom Brady. They need to go with him. And I tend to agree with that because I just don't see anyone out there. You know, he knows the system. He was a number 2 overall pick. You know, he has to be the guy moving forward. And if they do bring in a veteran, it's got to be someone to back him up. I can't see anyone else coming in unless they make some sort of trade. And you can argue, is there a backup in the NFL better than him right now? I saw him carve up the Steelers here in the fourth quarter last year. I still think they got to go with him, believe in him, and say, this is your time. Go after it.
I saw somebody mention a name today, and I just hadn't thought about this guy in a while, Tyrod Taylor. Just because if you look at what that guy typically does, which is play like mistake-free football, he's pretty unspectacular. Like his classic line is he'll throw for about 210, maybe a touchdown, usually not an interception. That team is so good everywhere else that might be what they need. But the reason I think they do have to go with Wilson is pretty straightforward. Their whole intention here was that after Aaron Rodgers was done, whether it was 1 or 2 years or whatever, they were going to hand the reins back over to a much more mature, veteran, ready-to-go Zach Wilson, that there was going to be a tutelage aspect to this. If that was your plan, just because you've got to speed it up unexpectedly by at least a year and maybe 2, doesn't mean you still don't go with it. I mean, I think they've got to roll with this guy and see what they've got. I think we know he has the arm talent. It's, can he figure out a way to figure out defenses? Because that, like it is for so many guys, seems to be the problem for him.
Absolutely. By the way, one other note, the Pirates won again. So those of you like me who bet over 67.5 are winners, 68 right now, and they have a chance to get mid-70s or even higher, but whatever that means. If you took the over, you're in good shape. Let's go to the phone lines at 412-575-2600. It's the Bordas and Bordas hotline. We have Frank and Moon on line 1 who wants to talk some sports. Hey, Frank.
Hey, Bob. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Hey, Chris. What's happening? Hey, Chris. Hey, guys. You know, I know you guys watch a ton of football, and I watch a ton of football too because I'm a retired guy and I just watch sports all day long. But as far as the Steelers go with their wide receiver, I don't understand why Pickens is not running slants or they're not running crisscrosses. And one thing I've noticed about the Steelers in the last few years, they run patterns and they stop. There's like no continuation of patterns. And I don't know if you, I'm guaranteeing that if you watch them. Number one, that's the biggest problem. And if you want to get Pickett going, you have to give him like some slant.
Just get him the ball, Frank, is what you're saying. Just get him the ball.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
They got to find a way to do it. And we saw in Atlanta in the preseason game, went over the middle, a beautiful throw, split the defense, he goes the distance. They got to figure out ways to do it, whether it's slants, go routes, whatever, Chris. He needs to be the guy who gets a lot of activity, I think, this coming Monday.
So Pickens is good at a lot of things, but what he hasn't proven to be good at yet is generating separation on his own. Well, they have to find a way to scheme separation. Frank's actually right. I kind of noticed that they don't kind of continue their routes. They do seem to stop. I think that's a lack of chemistry with the quarterback because we saw Big Ben and AB make a living off the scramble drill. When Ben would break the pocket, AB just had kind of a sixth sense. A lot of Steelers receivers back then did. But I want to see guys like Pickens get schemed open on shorter throws. Like, give me one play where Matt Canada has drawn it up and Pickett's executed it, where you've seen a guy catch a ball, like with a nearest defender at least 2 or 3 yards away so he can make some moves. It rarely happens. You know, Deontay had a long catch and run and then he got hurt, but so often they're just running the same stuff. You still have to stop it, but if you know what's coming more or less, it's much easier to be in the right position. I think that says it all about their offense.
I agree. Let's go out to Brad in Hermitage. He joins us right now on the Bordas and Bordas hotline. Hey, Brad.
Hey, guys. Good to talk to you. I got a question. Last year, the first game against the Browns, they had a 4th and 1 like 5 times, and we couldn't stop them. So I was really glad when we got Fehoko for true nose. Are they going to use him good this year for this game? And do you think he'll be stopping the run?
I think they have to activate him, and he has to play. I'm not really sold on Martravius Adams. I think Benton is the guy, Chris, but I want to see Fehoko because he did a pretty good job occupying people, and you don't see him on the stat sheet necessarily, but that's not what he's there for. He's there to clog things up a little bit, and he's a big dude, so I would expect that he's going to be active and play.
Yeah, it would seem like if there's anybody he's supposed to play against, it's the Browns and the Ravens, teams that want to run the ball. The Browns really want to run it pretty traditionally. They'll do a lot of outside zone stuff. I mean, they have Nick Chubb. He's the best pure runner in the league, so they're going to utilize him. But yeah, I want to see Fehoko in there. I think Benton to me is more of just a pure disruptive force. I don't put him in any sort of box, right? I mean, he's a guy, at least in my opinion, that you should be counting on to go out there, play snaps, and sort of replace Hayward's role as somebody that just wrecks what the defense wants to do. That's asking a lot of a guy who's played exactly one regular season game in the NFL, but they clearly think very highly of him, so turn him loose. There shouldn't be that much of a learning curve.
We have a tweet here from Greg, Chris, and he says, are you guys concerned about Jurkovec helming the pit squad? Obviously moved around and seemed very flustered both on the field and after the game. How will he respond to the heightened tension against West Virginia? First of all, we haven't really talked much about it, which is surprising. Normally that game draws a lot of attention, which kind of tells you where West Virginia is, I think, and also the Pitt stumbled this week. But he better, right? I mean, he was brought in here, went to Notre Dame, that didn't work out, went to BC, okay, ups and downs, that didn't work out. It's up to him to do that. He has Frank Cignetti there. He's worked with him. He knows it. But he got hit a lot in that game against Cincinnati. I'd be more concerned about protecting him the right way before he makes some of these decisions because there was a lot of activity on him early in that game against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I thought their protection was bad. I think sometimes he wasn't seeing it fast enough as the game went on. I mean, he was just missing throws. But here's what I really didn't like. I think this causes a schism with people when you say what I'm about to say, but I'll say it anyway. I think it's fine for fans to boo. I thought Jurkovec's reaction after the game to fans booing him and booing the offense was quite lame, honestly. Jurkovec is not an 18-year-old kid who this time last year was in high school, was in geometry class. You know what I mean? He wasn't passing notes in class. The guy's 23 years old. He's not young. He's pushing 24, I want to say, just off the top of my head. He has been in college 5 years before this year. He's a sixth-year guy. I mean, I'm sorry, man. There are players significantly younger than him quarterbacking NFL teams. If you're playing poorly, you're going to get booed, and you're not a kid. So I thought that was a bad look. And I hope Pat Narduzzi, if things continue apace with this and it goes in the wrong direction, you've got to at least consider Vieira. He's another transfer. I mean, if Jurkovec isn't bringing the goods, I know you brought him in here. I know he's a hometown kid. I think people for that reason want to see him succeed. But if he doesn't look like he can get the job done and you have a Penn State transfer, you've got to at least consider using that guy.
I think Vieira had a good camp based on what people said. So, yeah, they shouldn't be able to hesitate if there is need against this West Virginia team. And quite frankly, I think Pitt's going to have a hard time down there. I don't know about you, Chris, but this is the one game that I would imagine of all their games on their schedule, forget the conference, because I don't think they're going to be competitive. This is the one they're going to want to win, and I think they're going to come out and give them everything they have.
Well, Pitt just played the team that preseason the media that covers the Big 12 was picked to finish 13th in the now 14-team Big 12. Keep that square in your head. They were getting trounced for most of that game. That was at home. Now they go to play the 14th ranked team in the preseason poll in their building where everyone's completely insane, and you just had the quarterback complaining about getting booed at home. None of this adds up to be a particularly good thing in my mind. I think I've laid it out there pretty clearly.
Yeah, I think you're right. Those people down there are going to double down on that. He's going to hear a lot of things.
Booing.
And he may
if
hear
Jurkovec
from the
thinks
Pitt fans
being
who go
booed
down
at
there.
home was bad. If he thinks being booed at home was bad, he's going to hear new words that he didn't know were invented from West Virginia fans because they might not actually be words.
They're not going to be words, but they will take effect. There's no question because they normally do. We're going to take a break here, come back with more. It's 412-575-2600. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're on the air 7 nights a week right here on KDKA+.